everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We have had record registrations for this webinar, and I'm already seeing so many people in the chat talking. So I think everyone is super excited about this topic. I want to welcome Angela Shea from Social Templates Co. Hi, Angela. Thank you for coming. So grateful to have you here today to teach us all about Reels. Before we get started, though, even though I know everyone's really here to see Angela and not me, I want to get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. There's a couple of things that'll help the presentation go more smoothly. First, just remember to pause any streaming services that you might have running so you're not competing for bandwidth. That way you'll hear and see everything clearly. Everyone already knows about the chat because you're already in there chatting. So please feel free to chat in there. But if you have a specific question, either for us or for Angela, please put that in the Q&A tab. That way we can keep tabs on whether that question, might be asked more than once, and we can kind of combine them. Or if you ask a question that gets answered later in the presentation, we can mark it as answered. It'll just make it a better experience when we get to the Q&A portion. If I see someone in the chat asking a question, I will move it over to the Q&A. So if you see your question disappear out of chat, I didn't delete it. It's just moved over to the Q&A tab. Again, it just is going to make things much easier during the Q&A portion so we can get as many questions answered as possible. After the webinar, when it ends, you'll be dumped into a survey. It's like 2 questions long. It'll take maybe 20 seconds to answer, basically letting us know if you like this type of content and what other topics you would love to learn about. That kind of feedback is super important to us. We read every single one of those survey responses that come in. So don't feel like it's a waste of time. You're helping us help you. That's all I can think of at the moment. So I think we're good to go. Angela, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera. I'll still be here in the chat, and we'll see you shortly. Thank you so much again for this presentation. I know it's going to be amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to chat with you guys and share everything that I've prepared. I'm going to talk really fast and really quickly because I want to kind of give you a lot of bullet point information. So if you need to take notes, if you need to go back and rewatch this later, hopefully you can do that. But I'm going to try to kind of speed through everything so we have plenty of time for questions in the end. So let's jump right in. I was a wedding photographer for over a decade before I ended up in social media. So this is why I speak to photographers specifically about Reels. This is why I feel like I can relate. I've been in your shoes. I understand the workflow and everything you're going through. And I've been in social media for the last 8 years. So it feels like I've lived multiple lives at this point. I started shooting when I was really young. At 19, I started my business, officially shooting weddings, and had little kids really early on. Got burnt out, had a major moment where I had an early quarter life crisis where I sold my house, packed up my life, and moved to a different state all within 30 days. Sold our house that same week, shut down my website, and you couldn't find me anywhere as a photographer because I just needed such a hard reset. I didn't know if I was going to go back to photography or what I was going to do. But we moved down to Southern California. I took a year-long sabbatical to just kind of be present with my kids. And at that time was when my photography friends started reaching out and being like, where are you? What happened? Can you help me with my social media since you're not shooting anymore? And very quickly, I ramped up managing 20 different Instagram accounts for fine art photographers, for preset companies, for styling mats, and was doing that. And then that's when, around that time, was when the peak of the perfectly curated grid was a thing. This is pre-carousels, pre-reels. And so I definitely knew how to curate the perfect grid and how to understand what photographers were trying to showcase. And then really quickly, Instagram started competing with TikTok for the short video format. And all of our clients wanted short form video, and they wanted a way to show up in the reel space. And so we were custom making all of these reels. And by we, I had launched a mini social media marketing agency at that point. So I had this agency. We were making all these custom reels for all of our clients. And I was trying to figure out a solution of how to do this faster. None of the apps that were out there were exactly what I was looking for. And so out of sheer desperation, I created social templates, which is what I run full time now. But it was mostly a tool I was creating for myself. And so that's how Social Templates was born. And we've been around for almost 3 years now. And we make reels really easy for people. So stay to the end. We will have like a promo code you can take advantage of. You can have details of how to join. But really quickly, before I dive into the rest of the presentation, what is Social Templates? It's not another app. So this is like one thing I need to tell people all the time. It's not another app that you download, that you install. It's actually just a private account within Instagram. So it's a private account for our members to join, and everything inside that private account is a template that you can use. So we create content specifically inside this private account for our members using all the Instagram features, the Instagram trending audios. We add new templates in there every single week. And so this is like a private account where people come and they have content that they can use. So it's created specifically for photographers. And that's kind of where I'm at today, and why I have, I guess, like the knowledge and the expertise to talk about the reel space, because I have handcrafted over 1,000 reels now. So this is what I do every day. I still to this day hand make these reel templates for our community. All right. So before we dive in, one thing that's important to kind of put out there is that reels alone are not like your entire social media strategy. We're going to focus specifically on Instagram today. We're going to talk a lot about reels, but what you need to know is in order for your account to have engagement, to be a healthy, thriving account, you also have to invest your energy into all these other parts. So you still have to post on stories. You have to have an engaged community, respond to your comments. Carousel posts are really good, especially for photographers. And so reels is just like this other aspect that can really drive engagement and can bring new leads to your account, but it's not the only thing. I feel like we need to set this like straight so that you're not thinking like, okay, I'm going to forget about everything else and I'm only going to make reels. Reels are a part of the strategy. It's a big part of the strategy, but it's not the only thing that's going to affect your overall engagement. All right. So I know there's people here from like all different maybe journeys of their social media presence. And so just to set kind of the foundation, we're going to talk about what is a reel. A reel is like this video format that shows up on Instagram. It's not your story that lives for 24 hours. Those expire 24 hours. Your static posts, your carousel, they live on your feed. And then there's also something that you can post on your feed that is like a video format, and it's short and it's engaging. And that is a reel. And the reason reels are important is because video content is here to stay. So as much as photographers complain and they want the photos to come back to Instagram the way that they used to, like it's not going to change. As society, we've completely changed how we consume content. We have streaming on our phones everywhere now. The way that we just consume content is different. And so this is why reels are not going anywhere. Video content is not going anywhere. There's just going to be more and more emphasis on this type of content creation and this type of marketing. So photographers, they have their static images. They still want to deliver like these photo experiences. They need to find a way to be able to show up in this video space with their photos, right? And this is where we can get creative and we can have these fun, engaging, beat-matched slideshow type of reels that show a lot of your photography work, that show your personality. But at the end of the day, like they are basically your top of funnel. Like if you think of your marketing, they are your marketing tool. They're a marketing tool that brings people to your account. So when you post a reel, it has the highest chance of going out to people that don't already follow you. When you post a story, it's only shown to your followers. When you post a carousel post, majority of the time it'll get shown to your followers first. Will rarely end up on the explore page, but a reel has the highest potential of being shown to non-followers if it's packaged correctly. And we'll talk about packaging a reel correct a little bit later on. But just to think of reels, it's like your top of funnel. It goes out to people that don't follow you. And this is You use Reels as kind of a lead magnet that will bring people into your account. And so when I'm saying lead magnet, basically the reel needs to be packaged in a way where it is short, it's engaging, and it gets people's attention so that they click on your profile and they go and binge the rest of your content. What else do they have on there? Like you're showing a small sampling of your work, and then it's giving people more context in maybe in your carousel posts. Maybe eventually they tap on your website and they head over to your account and they're able to book with you, or they follow you for a little bit so that they can get to know your content better. If you think about how people are engaging in the Reels space, your clients are there, you're on Reels most likely. And the way that we consume content is kind of on the go. A lot of times people are at the grocery checkout and they're scrolling Reels for a few minutes. You might be watching Netflix and you're scrolling your phone, so your attention is split. You have less than 2 seconds to capture someone's attention for them to be able to tap on your reel and then go to your profile and look at what else you have. So when people create these, or when photographers create these slideshows that really show off their portfolio and they're slow and you want people to spend a lot of time looking at your photos, this is where your engagement isn't really high and people are not going to watch the rest of your reel. They're not going to come over to your page because they probably just watched the cooking video, right? They're swiping on their phone. There's a cooking video, there's a travel video, and then your photography work comes up. What is going to make someone pause and look at your reel and then come over to your account? Think about Reels as being a space for entertainment. It's for maybe little bits of entertaining educational content, or you connecting with your clients that are not in a place where they're sitting down and they're researching, I'm going to go hire a photographer right now like they would on Google when they're searching for somebody. This is more of you want to show up in a space where they're just unwinding, relaxing, and you want your content to show up for them in that space. And this is why when we are too concerned about having this perfectly curated grid, and I'm going to call some photographers out here, but we want our feed to feel a certain way. Most of the time, people don't even make it over to our feed because they're, scrolling Reels. When they come over to your feed, they're going to go look at what other content are you sharing. They're not going to look at how perfectly positioned the photos are next to each other. And with each piece of content that you're putting out there, you want to maximize your engagement. And so if you're putting out a photo that just has a lot of space, you're going to miss out on creating an engaging piece of content, and that content is just going to kind of flop. One little bonus tip I like to share is if when creating Reels or any type of social media content, you overthink anything. You think what is this person going to think? My friends from college probably think I'm too much. I'm posting too often. Mute and block people from seeing your content, at least for a season. And I say this because this is something I personally struggled with when I was starting out with marketing my business. And so I went through and I actually blocked 124 people. If that shows you maybe how shallow and superficial I am, 124 people where I was these people are acquaintances from school, people that maybe are family members that I feel well, am I being too much? Am I posting too frequently? Am I being annoying because I'm talking about my business all the time? And so just blocking those people, and some of them I just muted from seeing my stories. It gave me so much freedom. All of a sudden, I didn't care how often I posted. There wasn't anything holding me back there. And I feel if more people took this approach, because you know what, in a year, I unblocked everyone. I was so confident at that point. I was so in my rhythm, I wasn't bothered anymore by them seeing my content. And the other way to think about it is your friends and family, they go to work, right? They're nurses and they have their bank jobs or whatever they're doing. They still do their work, and you're not forced to see what they do for work every day. If you are marketing your work online, they also don't have to support you because you're not checking on them, right? They don't owe it to you, and you are doing this for yourself and for your business. And so anyways, to summarize, if anyone is making you overthink that post button, just mute them for a season. And if you need to reach out to family members and say, hey, like, I'm going to go hard on marketing and I'm just going to block you from my photography account for a season, maybe that's like the way to do it. Anyways, that was just like my little tidbit there. So what makes a reel good and what makes you have increased watch time? So watch time metric is the most important metric on an entire, like in the Reels algorithm. So think about it this way. There's different algorithms for different parts of Instagram. We all like to say just like one big algorithm, but every single portion of Instagram has its own different algorithm. So it's a different algorithm for stories, different algorithm for Reels. And so in the Reels algorithm specifically, watch time is the most important metric. So that means what percentage of your reel did somebody watch? Did someone make it 50%? Did someone watch it all the way through? And so when your reel is posted, it is shown to a small sampling of your audience, most likely people that already follow you. And depending on how these people react to it, whether or not they watch it all the way through, rewatch it, that's when Instagram decides whether or not it's going to show it to more people. And that's how it basically, based on the human interaction with your reel, it makes that calculation on whether or not it's going to show it to other people. So when we blame the algorithm for not showing our reels, it's actually not the algorithm. It's because it's not packaged in a way that humans are going to respond to it, if that makes sense. So we know that watch time is the most important metric, which is why you want someone to make it all the way to the end and have it loop again. This is why we see those annoying reels that I'm sure all of you have seen, where it's like a short reel with a bunch of text or a really long caption that says, you know, has a strong on-screen hook and says read caption. And then we're reading the caption because you're curious what the information is. And guess what? The reel is looping in the background, giving it more watch time, signaling to the algorithm that people are reading this, more people need to see this type of content. So when photographers want to use 60 photos in a reel and show off this slideshow, this is where it works against them, because no one has the time to watch a slideshow for that much time. Maybe they get like a quarter through, and maybe your photos are really great and this is epic content, but it's not packaged in the way that's going to succeed within the Reels algorithm. So you want to keep your reels short, and under 15 seconds is ideal, unless you're doing like a vlog style where you're like talking to the camera and it's very engaging and you know that like you can keep people watching it for more than 15 seconds. If you're making a photo heavy reel, the recommendation is to keep it like 7 to 8 seconds. I know, really short, right? But again, we're thinking about it as like using it as little lead generation, like little lead magnets. So you're going to take your content, you're going to package it in a way where it's like quick, it's engaging, it's less than 7 seconds, it's paired with trending music, and you're sending it out into the world. And maybe you share multiple reels from that one shoot so that you can get more content there. Maybe you use that as a lead magnet, and then people come to your page and there's a whole carousel where they can slowly like take in the images. But that's just something to keep in mind. It has to be short. You never want a photo to hold for more than 2 seconds. If your photo is holding for more than 2 seconds, I would even say that 1 second, like a full second, second and a half, is already pushing it. Because again, attention span, if someone is scrolling and they see this static photo just being held there and nothing's happening to it, and there's no interesting text that they're reading over the top of it, what is going to make them stop? This is where I like to tell photographers that not everything you post in a reel has to show your photography portfolio or your photos. This is where if you went out and shot a beautiful wedding and there was a beautiful sunset and the couple was walking to their sunset photos and you got a quick little behind the scenes video of them walking away and it's 5 seconds and maybe there was some breeze, you can use that little video paired with a trending audio and add some advice or some on-screen hook and post just that 5-second clip with valuable information for potential clients, for that bride maybe to reshare. Maybe you're just saying that like you loved shooting in this venue, for the venue to reshare. And now all of a sudden, like your reel is gonna go out, it's gonna resonate because it's a beautiful captured moment. And people are going to start coming to your account. And when they tap on your reel, and if it has like a really strong on-screen hook, maybe you're sharing, advice for how to plan your timeline so you have time for sunset photos. You're positioning yourself with that text as an expert in photography. You have advice for newly engaged couples. They're going to come over to your page and they're going to see your photography work. So when you're thinking about creating reels, don't overthink that every single reel has to be your photo work. It could be a combination of both. And it's even better if you can include yourself in the videos in some way. We're going to touch about this just a little bit later. But again, going back to what is making a reel a good reel, you have to understand your messaging. This goes into like fundamental marketing stuff, and I know it's not directly related to reels, but understanding who you are speaking to with your reel. So if you are putting out like very generic content, if you are using the strategy of let's just do everything and see what sticks, that's not a good marketing strategy for reels. You can have fun with that, you can experiment with that, but what's important is to know exactly who you're speaking to. Are you a family photographer that's talking to moms that need to be in the photos because they're the ones that are always taking the photos, and that could be your on-screen hook. Hey mom, maybe it's your time to be in front of the camera. Like, hey mom, don't worry about, the perfect clean house. Let's like schedule your session. And so understanding who are you talking to? Are you talking to the mom? Are you talking to the seniors that are graduating this year for senior portraits? Are you talking to the brides because you've got some bridesmaid ideas or inspiration, or you have tips on how to plan their wedding? So when you make your content too generic, you're not speaking to anyone, right? When you're trying to speak to everyone, you're speaking to no one. So you have to hone in your messaging in your reel as well. So in order for a reel to be good, it needs to be short, it needs to be engaging, and it has to have an on-screen hook. If there is no text, the way that people are consuming reels these days, people will just associate. It's really, really rare, unless you've got like a very specific formula, a specific approach, a signature style. It's very hard for people to connect with a new reel a new photographer, a new creator that they've never seen before if they come across your reel and there is no on-screen text. There has to be context into what you're sharing. It could literally be POV something. Like POV is a trend that's been on Instagram where you share like your point of view. POV, you just shot in a beautiful winery, and this is the results. POV, you're getting to experiment shooting film for the first time. Whatever it is, it could be your point of view, it could be the client's point of view. You could say, POV, you just really received your gallery, and this is what the images look like, because now you're speaking from the client's point of view. I can like share examples of like on-screen hooks forever. But just to give you guys an idea, there has to be on-screen text, and going viral should not be the goal, right? A lot of times what we think about is like, we need more numbers, we need to go viral. If I go viral, I will book out my calendar. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of times going viral will not bring you any new bookings. People are going to be there if you go viral for the wrong content. If you made one funny reel or one relatable reel, people are going to come there for that type of content. And then you're expected to keep sharing that. And if you're not, if you start showing your work, now these people that are following you, your new followers, they're not going to engage with the new content that you're putting out. And guess what? It's signaling to the algorithm that your followers are not interested with your content, and it's still going to give you low views. So if you go viral for something like having a wedding that was shot in Italy and you want to book more weddings in Italy, that might be like a good way to approach it. But the other way to, I guess, not go mini viral, but to have natural, organic engagement and reach is when you shoot a wedding and you're able to create a reel that same night or the following morning there, or even if it's a family session, right? When there is an event that just happened and there's so much hype around it, maybe the mom is like excited to share sneak peeks on her Instagram saying like, oh, we just did our first family session, or we did family session and we're so excited to see the photos. You don't have to, again, have sneak peek edited photos right away to make a reel. You can get some behind the scenes content to share with them. If it's a wedding day specifically, you can have vendors added as collaborators to the reel. We'll also talk about that, where there is this natural hype that happens around an event, especially weddings. So if you're a wedding photographer, you should be taking advantage of this for sure, where people that weren't invited to the wedding, relatives that couldn't make it, college friends, everyone's stalking the couple because everybody just wants to see, like, what did it look like? And this is where photographers can get in front of all of these people that are probably the same age as this couple that just got married, same probably, group of people that are going to be getting married, engaged. And this is your chance to be the first one to show anything, even if it's just a video behind the scenes on stories or on reels. You are now taking all that traffic and driving it to your account. And that's like the most natural, organic way to get in front of new people, to generate those new leads and connections, because, people are probably going to be getting engaged, looking for photographers. All right. Hopefully we're keeping up here. The other important part with the metric, right? We need the watch time. The other two things that are just as equally important are creating savable and shareable content. So you want people to be able to bookmark the reel that you made, and you want them to send it to someone. So a lot of times, like the sending ones is when you can have outfit ideas, locations, venue recommendations, maybe a studio that you love for a branding shoot where someone can send it to each other, right? Anything that's going to make someone look at your reel and send it to another person. So when you're creating these reels, think about them as like marketing pieces of little marketing materials, instead of like, oh, I'm just going to create this reel for myself because I want to show off my work and I want to feel good about it. How are you going to use this reel to generate more people? How is someone going to save it or send it to someone, right? If you are listing, here's my 5 favorite places to do family sessions in our town, people from your area will bookmark it, and they'll also come to you for more advice because they're like, this person is very experienced. They know what they're talking about. And so that's really important. The other thing is providing, value in the caption. We want to provide value so that we are positioning yourself as the expert. You also want to show a little bit of your personality and the person behind the camera. A lot of photographers push back here, right? They're like, this is the reason I'm behind the camera. I'm not that interesting. You know what? Nobody's really that interesting, but we are interested in people. So when you are able to share a little bit of just who you are, how much maybe you even just love what you do. You don't have to share your kids. You don't have to share your house. You can share your work and how you pour into the work. Here's me editing. Here's my routine for like how I get into the groove. Today I'm like editing all day. Here's what I do before a photo shoot. I scout a location a certain way. And so when you're able to give people a little bit of context of what the experience looks like when they book with you, that's when they're able to make that emotional connection. The other example I like to use, and sorry, I'm going back to weddings again. I feel like it's a low-hanging fruit here, but works across all different niches of photography. If a bride is following 3 different wedding photographers and they all have equally great work, similar portfolios, similar style, similar budget, right? 3 people that are doing amazing work. One photographer, though, is sharing behind the scenes of, this is me working at my desk. This is how I interact with clients. This is the packaging that I send them after their session. This is like how much heart I pour into the editing process or whatever it is. And they're sharing behind the scenes versus the other 2 photographers are just sharing a beautiful portfolio. Guess what? When the bride is about to make that decision, she's going to make a decision based on her emotions. She's going to say, well, I already know what Angela is like when she's with her clients. I can see the late nights that she spends editing because she pours into like every single client experience. The other 2 people might be doing just as much, maybe even more, but they're just not showing it in like an online space where they're able to create that human connection, and they're missing out on those connections. Maybe the bride would have had a different, like a stronger connection with someone else, but she just wasn't able to get to know them in that way. So this is just something to think about, is your clients actually want to see that. And if you're a senior portrait photographer, for example, moms want to see, like, how are you interacting with the college, high school kids, right? If they're going to drop them off for a session, or if they want to know, like, how are they going to feel? Are you going to make them feel comfortable? How do you interact with them? It's in every different niche. This is still important, showing your human side. And then obviously when you're creating reels and you see that something resonates a little bit more, maybe you finally post a reel of yourself somewhere like from far away. You're shooting, maybe like your assistant got like a wide shot of you interacting with the client, and you notice that, oh, like your audience resonated to that, to seeing you work. Lean into that more. So start watching your analytics as you're creating reels. You want to kind of start like leaning into like, okay, what is resonating? What are people connecting with? And then doing more of that. And just to summarize, because it needs to be said again, I see this mistake happen way too many times. Photographers need to add text on their reels. Reels have to have context. So if you missed that, I'm saying that one more time. And you don't have to overthink it. There's ChatGPT now that can help with that. The hook doesn't have to be like really long. It's just has to have something to give context. All right, we're going to go into some technical tips real quick because I can't not talk about these things. So Instagram SEO, I have been the most excited about this because this is the newest feature that Instagram rolled out a little bit over a month ago. And some of you guys are already seeing this on your accounts and some of you guys are not. But what's happening is Instagram is, again, competing with TikTok, competing with Google. They want to be the search engine for everything. They want people to be not Googling, Instagramming, right? They want people to be looking for their resources on Instagram. And we've seen this on TikTok for a while, but Instagram just rolled this out. And so basically the way that it works is Instagram will take your reel, it'll analyze what's in the reel. So it'll scan your photos, it will scan what the content is, your on-screen hook, your caption, and then it will attach a keyword phrase to your reel on its own. Like you literally don't have to click anything, turn anything on. It literally is cataloging everything right now. And it's attaching keywords, key phrases to your content. So this is just 2 screenshots that I took from one of the photographers that I follow. And look at how specific the keywords are. Cozy engagement photography ideas, spring, garden, party, wedding, inspiration. And it's just pulling that from the content that it's seeing. So it's not just saying engagement photography, right? It's cozy engagement. That means that if the couple is looking for an in-home session or something cozy, now when they search, her content is going to be served to them, right? If they're looking for not just spring wedding ideas, but spring garden party, Instagram is literally adding these keywords so that people can find your work. So they are doing this work for you. This is like so to our advantage because it's going to help you get more discovered. Guess what? The more reels you post, the more chances you get to get discovered, literally just based on SEO. You can be adding your location in there so that people can find you by your location. But this is just super crucial. I had one of our social templates users literally just tell me this last month where she said, someone came to me, they said they Googled Santa Barbara wedding photographer, and a reel that I made with social templates popped up on Google that just had these keywords there, and they found me from a Google search. Then they tapped on that reel that popped up and they booked her for a Santa Barbara wedding. And she was just mind blown. She goes, that's just so crazy because all I did was make this reel in under a minute and people are finding me through this like SEO chains. So do not sleep on just like creating content even alone just for the cataloging of the SEO that's going to happen to your account. It's kind of like blogging, right? Like when we blog a lot and then we're searchable, this is just like a simpler, faster way to get discovered. I feel like I was going to say something else about this, but drawing a blank now. Anyways, SEO on Instagram, really, really great. Inviting collaborators to your posts. This is huge. If you are creating content, invite collaborators to your post. What that means is when you create a reel, it goes, the person that you invite as a collaborator, so you tap on the tag, like you go to tag someone, and then you can either tag them or invite as a collaborator. If they accept that collaboration, which they don't have to, but if they do, your reel will show up and live on their feed. This actually option is available for carousel posts as well. So if you have a beautiful family session you just shot, invite the mom as a collaborator, because she's probably going to want these photos on her page. And now anytime her friends come to her account and they see her family photos, they see you as a collaborator, they tap there, you're generating that traffic. So if you're posting content, whether it's reels or posts, carousels, and not inviting your clients as collaborators, you're missing out on like additional reach and additional traffic to your account. Again, people are not required to accept the collaborations, but this is super beneficial for just reach. One thing that I do like to know is that if you're making a reel, to have like a very clean cover, and especially if you're in the wedding industry and you're trying to invite like planners or florists, that when there's a really nice clean cover, they're more likely to accept your collaboration. So that's just a little tidbit there. All right, content bank. I am huge on this. And this is what is going to help you prevent the overwhelm, right? We just like talked about all these things that you need to do for reels. How do you make it work fast and efficient and make it a part of your flow? So creating a content bank has saved me. The only reason I share about this is because I actually do this. And I also create 1,000 reels. So I have a separate phone for this actually, where everything is in folders. So what you can do is you create a separate folder within your camera roll. And inside that folder, you will have your content bank of just content that you've shot for yourself, kind of like a branding shoot, but like it's a video shoot of yourself doing things around the office. Maybe you're like taking out your camera out of your bag. Maybe you're editing. This could be also you pouring a cup of coffee. It's just these like B-roll pieces of content that are shot on an iPhone, because iPhone content actually resonates better within the reel space. Anytime your content is shot too professionally, people will disassociate a little bit because it feels more like an ad and they feel like they're being sold to. So for a content bank, you actually want to shoot on an iPhone. And I say this because I had a content shoot where I shot both on iPhone and professional camera, and we've only used the iPhone content because it just resonates differently. So you want to have this B-roll content in a separate folder, because when you see a trend pop up, when you need a little bit of a filler content to use before maybe sharing your images, maybe your on-screen hook is POV, you just got your gallery, and there's just like a video of you on the computer finishing up a gallery or whatever it is, and then you get to show off your images. It's really easy for you not to have to create new content every time, just to grab that content from your content bank. I have one day a year, every spring, dedicated to just filming B-roll content. I change outfits, I have a dedicated space, and we just go through a shot list and we get that content, and then I'm able to use it for the entire year. Sometimes it even rolls over into the second year. I did this like when I was pregnant, and so then like I had all this content that I didn't want to like be on camera when I was 8 months pregnant. And so this actually is super, super helpful. And once you have an assistant where you're like, okay, like I'm ready to outsource reels, guess what? You give them this B-roll content and they can just roll with it. They have content they can grab. They have your photos. It's it makes it like really easy to streamline it, outsource that. In the email after this webinar, we're going to have a 30-day content challenge that you can do. It's literally free. It's just the link. There's a bunch of videos where I tell you what to record and then I show you how to record it. So if you're like, you know what, I could totally do this. You could do this 30-day challenge. It literally takes like 2 minutes every day for 30 days if you want to do it, or you can like literally do it in just one day. So Karen will send that out later after this webinar. You can totally jump in and build out your content bank because this is so important. And then when you're creating reels, don't be afraid to repurpose content, right? We post one thing from that wedding. We post one even like BTS piece of content of yourself working. And now you're like, oh, everybody saw that. I can never share that again. Wrong. People don't remember. Sorry. People don't remember. They are not fixated on your content. So if you have like content that is just beautiful content that resonates with your ideal client, keep repurposing it, whether it's photos or videos, package it differently, add a different on-screen hook. Nobody remembers. Nobody's thinking about your content as much as you're thinking about it. And so this is your sign to repurpose your favorite shoots, to repurpose these little pieces of content that you have, and just start showing up, because SEO, right? And because we're using Reels as lead magnets. All right, so best practices for getting these behind the scenes videos. When you are not having like a content day, but you're on location, you're doing a shoot for a client, what you could do is you can make it a part of the client experience. Obviously, don't just like take out your phone and be on your phone and it's weird. You can tell them before the session, like, hey, I'm going to grab some behind the scenes content. If that's okay with you, I'm going to airdrop it to you at the end of the shoot. You can post it, or you can say, hey, like, is it okay if I post some behind the scenes? I'd love to tag you. Most of the time, unless your clients like don't like to be on social media or have NDAs or whatever, they're like really excited for this. I even know a photographer that has created a whole experience of like sharing each bride on their stories. And the brides, when they booked her, they were looking forward to be like featured on her stories. Like it was like part of the experience. So you can totally make it part of the experience where you're shooting the content and then you say, okay, now just like a second for the Instagram. It like takes literally 2 seconds to grab that video, but you're simultaneously getting behind the scenes that you can later use for your marketing. You're also giving your client stuff that they can share and stuff that you can reshare that same day, which again, there's like the client is way more likely to reshare that content that same day that they had the shoot while they're like feeling high on emotions than if they were to see it like a month later. Ray-Ban Meta glasses. If you have not heard of these yet, look into this. This is not sponsored, although it probably should be. But the Ray-Ban Meta glasses that just came out, they have little built-in cameras. And you literally, if you're one of those people where you're like, I'm not comfortable pulling out my phone, I'm in my zone, I'm shooting, I don't want to get distracted, put on the Meta glasses and you just tap a little button here and it films whatever you're looking at. So you can literally share the point of view of your camera, of what you're seeing. You can also share your client experience, like if you share that video. And the best part is, as it's filming this content that you're looking at, it's getting downloaded straight to your phone. So it's gonna show up in a separate app on your phone where you can just like grab it from there and make content with it, share it with your clients. So the Meta glasses are like the easiest, most streamlined way to do it. If you can invest in a pair of those, I strongly recommend. And then if you are filming with your phone, one thing that we see photographers do a lot is they'll grab their phone and they'll quickly pan, right? Let's pan real quick. We're recording the scene. That's no good. Your video is going to be blurry, dizzy, shaky, and it's not going to look like a high quality piece of work that's going to match your photography style. So instead of panning, when you take out your phone, you're going to hold it still and just like have really subtle movements where you're allowing for the scene to unfold. You're framing it kind of like a photographer that you are, right? Because you understand framing, you understand light. So when you are getting that video content, just slow down for a second, grab your phone, deep breath, frame the scene, and just allow your phone to linger there for a little bit. If you do that for every, like, let's say you do that 5 to 7 times throughout the shoot, you're going to come out with these 7 videos that feel like a production. They're going to feel elevated. They're going to feel soft. And now you can share them as like part of the experience. Again, you can even make a reel for your client and charge for it or whatever you want to do, or just as an add-on. When I shoot my video content, I shoot in 60 frames per second. So there's like a little feature that you can, setting where you can set it to be 60 frames per second. You can also shoot in 4K, but in my experience, that's like way too high. We don't need that for social media. The only downside is when you shoot in 60 frames per second, when you upload back to Instagram, Instagram will always compress to 30 frames per second. So there's an additional step if you decide to shoot with 60 frames is sometimes, and it's, again, Instagram's funky a little bit like that. It doesn't always do this, but compression gets really funny. And so sometimes I'll use an outside app to take that 60 frame per second video and like compress it back to 30. So it still looks buttery smooth. So why I shoot with 60 frames per second is because it makes the video feel extra smooth. And so when you compress it back to 30 frames per second, it just looks smooth. It's a personal preference. I'm sharing it because I'm sharing all my tips. So if you want to give that a try, you totally can. And the other thing is photographers care so much about how their images look on Instagram. Sometimes they're like, well, my images look like crap on Instagram, so I'm just not going to post. They look like crap because they're not sized perfectly for Instagram. So in order for Instagram to show your images at the best that it can, it needs to be sized to 1080 by 1920 pixels. And you can do that when you're exporting. You can export for a web sizing, but this is just like that one thing. If you're using templates and you're trying to like make your content real quick and you're using high-res images, that sometimes will happen. And so you want to make sure you're sizing that correctly. All right, one more thing. This is something that if you have your phone nearby, you should probably check or come back to this, take a screenshot, I don't know. There is a upload at highest quality toggle within your Instagram settings that you should probably turn on. If that is not turned on, this is what is making also your reels look blurry. So this is, I feel like, a technical tip. Make sure that when you have time, just go into your settings. Inside of data usage, just making sure that your highest quality uploads are turned on. All right, and we're almost at the end. So backing up your images, when you're backing up your images after a shoot, we want to talk about workflow, right? You're uploading your images to your online galleries, you're dumping your backing up stuff. This is the perfect time to pull out your phone and look at your camera roll and delete anything that you got BTS of that you will not use ever in a reel. If you shot 57 videos from a shoot, you don't need 57 videos. You probably just need 7. So this is the perfect time where you have like a few minutes, you're downloading your images, go to your camera roll and delete whatever is not usable. And then whatever is left, you're going to take that content and you're going to select it and put it in a separate folder that's going to have your clients' names. So if you just shot, Smith family photos, you're just going to take a few of those behind the scenes videos that are usable. If you need to trim things, and you're going to put them in a separate folder. This one tip alone is going to cut your reel creation time and overwhelm down to minutes. If you just set yourself up for success, like, please hear me on this. Because we'll be like, well, yeah, I'll just grab what I need. I know where it's at. You've done this before. How has it worked for you, right? Like, it's there. You're going to sit down to make a reel and you're going to scroll and you're going to be like, all right, I know this session was there. I just shot it like last week. And then all of a sudden there's 57 videos. And now you're like rewatching these videos, and each video is like 30 seconds. And now you've been already rewatching things for, 17 minutes. And that right there could have been eliminated if you just had your top 5 to 7 videos from that shoot saved to a separate folder. And that's it. Like, that one step alone, you're halfway done to making your reel. Because now all you have to figure out is like, okay, what on-screen hook are we going to use? And am I going to use any preview images? So having these separate folders, and maybe you don't have them on your phone forever. Maybe you have one folder that's for all of your client work and you have it there. But what happens is when you have your personal photos and travel photos, everything on your camera roll, that is when overwhelm hits. And all of a sudden now, this is where people quit. And I know this, and I'm saying this with love because I know the flow. We sit down to make a reel. We get overwhelmed with content. We get overwhelmed with not knowing what audios to use. And then we just quit. So the reason I say this is if you look at this photo here, this is what it looks like inside of a reel. So when you go to create a reel, you'll notice there's like that drop-down menu where you can choose which album specifically you're going to use to make this reel. So once you've organized stuff, now you open Instagram will be like, all right, which album you want to use? And you go into your client folder and guess what? There's only 5 videos on there, maybe some edited sneak peeks, and you no longer have to like be overwhelmed with like not knowing what to do. And then this is where social templates comes in or not comes in. This is like, if you choose to use social templates, this is my workflow. So I'm going to share this real quick. But basically what happens is like this private account that we have, everything's already in Instagram. We choose the trending music for you. So we will go through and we'll figure out like what trending music is trending this week. We're going to give you suggestions like this is the newest trending music. We already beat match it. So we create the template where everything is beat matched, and we will tell you like this one needs 1 video, 17 photos, 1 video, 5 photos, whatever it is. And you will just open that folder with your organized content, pop it in there. Everything's already beat matched for you. And we even like provide like ideas and on-screen hooks for you. So I'm going to play a little video so you guys can have a visual of what it looks like inside this private account. So when our members join, they get this private account, and this is what it looks like.
Once you get access to the private account for members only, you're going to make sure you're in the Reels tab and then scroll all of these Reel templates we have in here. Everything you see in here is a Reel template that you can use. So select one that you like, then you're going to tap on the 3 dots in the bottom right corner. The Use as Template button is right inside of there, and the template will open up for you. You're going to tap on Add Media, and you're going to select photos and videos directly from your camera roll. So you're going to select the photos that you want to use, and you don't have to fill in the entire timeline. You can leave the rest of it empty if you don't have enough content. Tap Next, and the reel is auto-generated for you in literally seconds. Tap Next to see a preview, and at this point is where you can add text on screen if you need to. Tap Next, add your caption, tag your clients, and post straight to your account.
So as you saw, literally seconds to create a reel. That's how social templates work. If you organize your content, you could make your own reels. But basically, yeah, this is the breakdown. If you didn't catch it in the video, it's literally you just tap the 3 little dots and a menu comes up and there's a hidden template that you can use. So before we jump into questions, I just want to say that, first of all, thank you. If you're still here, thank you for hanging out. If you do end up signing up for social templates today and this week, using the code ShootProof, you can get locked in at 20% off forever. So the price will never go up for you. You get locked in at 20% off. You can scan the QR code. This will also be probably emailed to you, but you can sign up and take advantage and give social templates a try, maybe speed up your workflow. But yeah, I think at this point, we're gonna jump right into questions, right?
That's right. I'm here. I feel like I need to take a deep breath. I'm sure you do too. I just learned so much in such a short amount of time. Okay. So I believe I got all of the questions that were in chat moved over to Q&A. So let me go ahead. I'll serve them up for you. And we're going to start with the first question first. Charlotte asks, can you post the same reels on Facebook that you post on Instagram?
There is a toggle that gets turned on in your Instagram that will share them to Facebook. So it's just in your settings, making sure your Facebook is linked, and then you create a reel and it will, some people, depending on your account, I know it will like recommend it. Some of it get like a direct repost. So it's just linking it.
That sounds easy. Okay. Marissa asks, for those reels that are only videos and text, should we still put a random professional photo as the cover?
It's personal preference. I think it will make your grid look better. And the best part is that you can always change that photo. And when you have a cover, you can also like zoom in, like post. Like if you don't like your covers right now, you can go into like edit and you can adjust how they look. I do think that for photographers and like with the brand, it probably will be better for you to have like a more cohesive look.
Okay. Audrey, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, asks, what are the best apps for making the reels? I would say social templates.
I also think that creating within Instagram is probably really helpful, because what happens is if you use text in a different like editing platform and then you bring it into Instagram, the SEO just works a little bit different. So when you're creating a reel and you're adding text right inside of Instagram, it is more likely to like identify it, read it more. It's not as good as reading text from like other apps. So I would say I would err on the side of like try creating reels in Instagram. I know that like you can also use CapCut. There's Video Leap. You know, obviously social templates is your shortcut. So those are just kind of the ones that come to mind.
Great. All right, Jenny asks for SEO on Insta. Do we need to be intentional about including keywords in our captions?
Yes. And oh, I remember what I was going to say. So keywords are not only now being cataloged in the caption itself, it's even in the comments. So the SEO like trickles all the way into your comments. So if someone says, I love this photo, instead of just saying thanks or sending them an emoji, this is where you can respond with like, thank you. I always love shooting in this location. Or, you know, this park is extra beautiful this time of year. So even as you are responding to people in comments, that also adds to like the SEO catalog. It's kind of insane. And I'm afraid we'll start sounding like robots because we're going to be like trying to put keywords everywhere. But the one thing you don't want to do is in your caption, you don't want to just like put like a bulk paragraph of keywords because Instagram will also flag that as spammy. So you just kind of want it to organically for your caption to like bring value and talk about like who you are, what you do, what you shot, what your advice is. And then hashtags are still relevant. So don't focus on like posting like 30 hashtags, but if you can add like 5 location hashtags or like what type of shoots you do, maybe it's a wedding shoot, family shoot, like you can still add those. So both hashtags and keywords are kind of like in the same bundle now.
Good to know. Okay. Should we let the reels on our profile? Wait, should we let the reels on our profile grid, or is that okay to only leave it on the reels tab on our profiles?
Okay, this is such a good question because you want to post it to your grid first and leave it there for at least 24 to 48 hours. I would err on the 48 side because your reel might not always take off right away. Sometimes you post a reel and it could be dead for like half a day and then all of a sudden it'll take off. So when you post to your feed, that's when like you're basically giving the algorithm permission to like show it to a lot of people. And it gets shown to more. So we've kind of tested both. And when you post it to your feed, post it there first. And if you don't like how it flows or you just don't want that there, you can move it off of your feed after 48 hours. And a lot of times I'll do this with like collabs. Like if there's a collab that I did and I want to be a part of that collaboration, but I don't like how it looks in my feed, after a while, like after a week, I will probably just like move it off. So I won't like turn off the collaboration, but I'll just move it off my feed. So it's still there, but it's my branding still feels cohesive to a degree.
Makes sense. Okay, the next couple are about taking video. So Michael says, do you ever convert or use the cinematic 24 frames per second?
I personally don't because it's just like a style preference. But I think that would probably look really beautiful. And especially if you like lean into more of that like cinematic style, I think you should go for it. I personally haven't done it.
Okay, so kind of along the same lines, Joe around the same time was asking, I think you were talking about at what speed you record at. He says, does that essentially slow the video down when you downgrade it to 30 FPS?
No, so it doesn't slow it down. It just like compresses it to like a different file. So it doesn't slow the video down. But if you wanted to like slow down, then you have those frames to slow it down a little bit. Obviously not as much as a slow-mo video, but yeah, just in case you needed to.
Okay. This question is more for me than you. Will the PowerPoint be available afterwards? I see some people asking about replays too. You'll receive an email with the replay, with the links. There's a couple freebies in there too. The PowerPoint was too big for me to include in the email, but if you reply to that email, it'll come straight to my inbox and I can help hook you up with that.
We can share the link too if you want, like the link, because it's not editable. It's just like a view only.
Yeah.
So we can share that too.
Okay.
And sorry, while I'm here, I forgot to mention this. We put together a specific download that's 100 reel prompts for you to like get started with. So Karen will also send that out later. So it's literally like just a link to sign up to get this PDF of 100 different ideas for you to try. So if you are you don't know where to start with like on-screen hooks and what do I write, we've got 100 different ideas for you.
Awesome. And also, if you just hop over to the chat right now, I just put the link to the presentation in there. So you guys will have that. Thanks for reminding me that I had that link. Okay. Let's see. Okay, with social templates, should I only be using the most recent templates you have posted with the currently trending music so I will get more reach versus an older template with music no longer trending?
So the music will trend usually for like up to 3, sometimes 6 months. So I would, if you're making a reel, I would check to see if the audio is trending, and the newest trending audios are always at the top. However, I do want to say that using a trending audio will not make or break your engagement. What's really important, again, is like how it's packaged. Using the newest trending audio can help kind of like ride the wave a little bit. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you accidentally didn't use a trending audio or for some reason, like it's going to have like a dramatic impact on it. However, using a trending audio just within the algorithm, it just sometimes like helps push it, but not as much as it used to in like 2020, 2021. Like it's not that important anymore, but we still like to, make sure that you have all the newest trends to jump on.
Okay. And this next question is also about social templates specifically. What is the difference between this private group with templates from Instagram? What's the difference between the private group with templates versus Instagram that works the same way?
Yeah. So we create these templates to be specifically for photographers. They're very photo heavy. They're perfectly beat matched. So we manually actually beat match it to the beat. And honestly, like the way that it works is the same, only we do all the research for you and we serve it up for you. So how long does it take you to actually scroll Instagram and find an audio that you like? And that's like a newly trending audio, and it's beat matched in a way that's going to serve a lot of photos. So a lot of times you'll find something on Instagram that is a great audio and they have a template for it, but it's, it takes a lot of time to find something that works specifically for your photo content. So ours is just basically, we save you all the time. We do all the work for you. We're like serving you up content that's like already pre-curated and packaged for you.
It's like having a social media assistant. What is your opinion on scheduled content? Facebook, you can only schedule 1 month, whereas with scheduling software, you can schedule a year. How does social templates fit into this?
So if you create a template, if you create a reel using one of our templates, it'll pop up like the Instagram scheduling option where you can set it to schedule, like it's in your last step where you add your caption and then you can schedule this post. So you would just be limited to that, because if you save the content, it will save it without the audio. So then like if you were going to repost it, you would have to find that audio again and relink it. So the way that you can schedule it, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but it's like within that last step right before posting, you can schedule it there. I also don't know if I would ever recommend scheduling content for a year in advance. A lot of things can happen in a year and trends change and things happen. So yeah, I don't know if that's the best.
That makes sense. Can you add collaborators when the other account is private?
Honestly, I'm stumped. I'm not sure. Maybe you'd have to test it, I guess.
I was gonna say we could test that out real quick.
I'm not sure. I think maybe, but then like I'm not sure if it'll like show up. Maybe they can accept it, but maybe it won't show up on your account.
Okay.
So I would probably test that out.
Are your templates mostly for weddings and portraits, or can they be used for branding, sports, or community events / awareness?
I love this question. So our main account where everyone joins There's a lot of content in there that has like wedding placeholder content in there, but the way that we curate the templates, so we add 10 to like 14 or 16 new templates each week. And we make sure for the music to match all these different genres. So there's something a little bit softer and romantic. There's something more edgy, beat matched. We have a whole separate account that's socialtemplates.seniors, where it's like specifically for senior content, and then a separate account for family content. That's like, they're like kind of like subcategories that help like pre-curate that content. So our users are everyone from weddings to branding, boudoir, family, sports. So kind of the templates, they range in genres.
Awesome. Do you have a preference between having Facebook recommend the reels or posting them directly? What are some pros and cons?
If I'm really honest, I'm not much of a Facebook user. Like, I feel like, I don't know if I'm like the best person to answer this question. I see our users repost to Facebook, and because we get tagged and stuff like that all the time. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to give like wrong information here.
Okay.
Ask somebody that posts a lot on Facebook, maybe.
That's fair. Very good. Okay. Should I be resharing my reels to my stories or wait a certain amount of time? Is that what you were talking about before, where you should wait, or is that something different?
No, that was different. That was like the grid. In my opinion, I don't think you should reshare to your stories in like that way where you take your reel and you share to your story. First of all, anytime you reshare your own reel to your story views will drop dramatically. If you've not noticed it, like test it. My favorite thing to do on stories is you post a photo, not even a video, a static photo with some text over it. And then those usually will get like 5 to 10x more views. So if you have like an announcement, if you're doing a launch, if you want to bring attention to like specific dates that are open for bookings, I would do like a story. Sorry, this is like a whole separate webinar here on stories. But when you share your own reel, your story views, I don't know how this works. It's like because people are not engaging with it, or because Instagram knows you're resharing your own reel, your story views will drop. So resharing to your stories might give you a few extra views on the reel, but then you just have to think about, is there anything else on my stories that I'm going to post within the next 24 hours that I want people to see? So there's a couple different ways that you could do it. Is you can post saying like a story, saying like, oh, just posted on your reel, go check my profile, or something maybe like different where you're not actually reposting your own reel. But if you've got nothing else to share and you just want to reshare your own reel and you're not going to share anything else for the next 24 hours, I think that it'll give you a few extra views.
Okay. Michael asks, do you use Hootsuite or any scheduling app or program?
I actually don't. This is like, I think, a little bit of like a controversial topic, but I believe that posting in real time actually gives you better engagement. So Instagram wants to see you interacting within the app. It wants to see that you're logged in, that you're posting, that you're commenting, you're responding to people. One thing that's like really important is you have to respond to all your comments. One, it works better for the algorithm. And two, imagine if you are someone that is leaving comments, right, on ShootProof's Instagram or something, and they never talk back to you, you're going to stop commenting. So if you want that engagement, you want to make sure you're responding to everyone and you're like creating your community and your bubble. And then you're also doing the same for people. You're like leaving love on their posts. And so when you do use scheduling apps, you miss out on that portion. And we've just kind of seen lower engagement. But again, is it better if you just schedule things from Hootsuite and like later or whatever it is than not post at all? Yes. If that's all you can do is do a scheduling app for now, then do that. So just like choose your poison.
I just looked at the clock and realized we're 10 minutes over. Thank you for staying extra. We have one more question, if that's okay. All right. Katie says, do you have any advice on repurposing a reel into an ad? Like what to think about when making that reel so that you're being intentional?
I think something that really resonates is if you can get client reactions. So if you can show yourself engaging, like you just shot a photo and then you're showing them the back of the camera screen. And again, I'm just like thinking on the fly here, but like, what's going to make someone stop? They're going to be like, oh, what's she showing them? Or maybe it's like, here's what I saw. Here's like what I actually photographed. Here's what it looked like. Here's the type of photograph I created. Just giving people like more like view into like how you handle things. I think that's probably, instead of like doing like a perfectly beat matched slideshow, I would incorporate a little bit of human personality in there, and maybe how you're interacting with your clients and the results of an image. But
yeah,
take it or leave it.
Perfect. We made it through all the Q&A. That's awesome. I mean, there was so much information that you shared today. I really appreciate it. I want everyone who's here to make sure you check your inbox later today, because not only this link for signing up with this discount is in there, but also the freebies that Angela has been so kind to provide. And if you have any questions or anything else that you want to ask, just reply to that email. It'll come straight to my inbox and I'm happy to help. Don't forget the survey. You'll get a survey as soon as we end here. We'd love to hear what other topics you would like to learn about. And thank you for spending extra time with us today, Angela.
Thank you so much for having me. It was exciting. And I feel like I was just on a roll. Thank you.
Time flies when you're having fun. So I looked at the clock and I was like, oh my gosh, how did it get to be so late? So thank you for your time and being so generous with just your knowledge and all the free stuff you're giving away too. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Honestly, It was an honor.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody soon. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.